Greetings everyone. My name is Ivan Maltsev and I'm a general partner at 3x Capital. We are a Web3 focused investment firm. I'm truly excited today to speak together with Yarco and Nick about go-to-market strategy, the importance of it, and some tips that we prepared for founders. We will also discuss several cases. But before we will start the topic, I would love to give a floor to Yarko to introduce himself. I will just say one sentence that it's always a pleasure to work with you, Yarko, to pick up and discuss different opportunities. We admire your access to.
So I think the internet is breaking.
Yeah. I think Ivan has lagged a bit, so you can start, and then I will introduce myself as well.
I think I will just get going. So I really appreciate all of the good things that Ivan said about me. So thank you so much. So hey guys, I'm Yarco. I am a partner at Pragma Ventures. So I'll just talk a bit about Pragma first, I guess, and then talk about my experience and background. So Pragma Ventures is a Korean Web3 investment firm. So all of the members of our firm are located in Seoul, in Korea. In my case, I'm located in Portugal, in Lisbon. And so I'm the guy that goes to all of the events in Europe and the States and so on. The rest of the team is basically going to events in Asia. So at Pragma, so the job that I've got is basically to go on a lot of the calls with projects and to meet them at conferences and whatnot. So my day today looks quite hectic, as you can imagine. And so indeed, I saw that it would be possible to talk about go-to-market strategies for today, and I thought that yes, it would be a good topic to discuss. So basically, Pragma Ventures is a research-oriented fund. So we have 3 PhDs in distributed systems on board, and so one guy is a professor in AI systems. And so all in all, Pragma encompasses quite a technical team, right? And in my case, I also have a PhD in distributed systems. And so I've been doing research in academia for about 12 years. And after that, I kind of decided to move to crypto because I really liked the vibes. And so that was in 2017, basically. And after I joined crypto, I basically became a developer at a number of companies. So I was a developer at a company called BlueZell. So BlueZell is a Web3 decentralized database. After that, I became a quant. So for about a year and a half, I was a quant in Vancouver for a Web3 fund. So I had to write different kinds of algorithms and put them in code. So that was a really interesting experience because I had to kind of at times get up at 2 a.m. and get the bugs to disappear. So that was a hectic experience. And after that, I was a principal architect at a company called Covalent. So Covalent is an EVM indexing project. So over there, I was in charge of basically developing a blueprint of the whole decentralized network. And yeah, so it's I hope that gives a bit of an overview about Pragma Ventures and my experience.
Yeah, great. So I think I will continue with my introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Nick. I'm the Chief Investment Officer at the Solus Group right now. We'll go a quick overview on the companies with whom I'm working. So regarding the Solus Group, it was the company that was founded in 2017 as a marketing agency back then. But for now, we are a group of companies that provides like full package and services, and also we are finalizing our own capital VC fund, and we'll make the capital call by the end of September, hopefully. The legal structure is fully set up, so yeah, we are ready for that with a couple of partners, with the main investment thesis on RWA and infrastructure, but still we'll have a part that will be investing all over different fields in the Web3. I was starting in crypto in a funny way from mining in 2014, but it was not a long period. I was checking in, researching some stuff, reviewing some stuff back then, but not a serious engagements. And I was back into the academic research and basically start doing something in the crypto. Yeah, with the background in econophysics, probably one of the first econophysics in my country, in Ukraine, and basically it's the pretty new science that was founded back in 1998. Yeah, along with that, a funny fact, I was also working in Pragma, but not in ventures, but technologies. It's the firm that basically do the outstaff researches and outstaff consulting. And after that, I was working with a couple of projects and a couple of companies. One more fun fact, recently we have also worked with the Covalent and write a full scope overview of their updates, because they got pretty decent updates lately. So that's a lot of the connections with Yarco as well here on that front. Yeah, and as I have said, have a pretty much experience on the side of the startup development, and the go-to-market, in my opinion, is a valuable part on it. So hope that will give a lot of insights today. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick and Yarko. Great pleasure to be with you. And sorry one more time for my bad connection. I truly enjoy working with both of you and receiving a deal flow, but also discussing different topics. So the idea of this panel was born when we had a call with Yarko and Dima, my partner, and we thought that whoa, we have so many technical founders who are building something interesting that excites us, but they don't know what to do next, and they do not have a clear path, step by step, what they need to execute in order not to build just great solution, but also to have users. So we thought that it's the topic that is quite hot, not only for us, but also for founders, and we can together provide some benefits and maybe even write a short summary with our insights from the session. I will start with the importance of go-to-market strategy and what is it from your point of view. From my point of view, just very briefly, it's a step-by-step process that has a specific logic and components that cannot be skipped. For instance, it usually starts with identifying some pains of your potential audience and building some specific frameworks in order to go through on each step and onboard your first customers. It's very, very basic, but in Web3 we have so many interesting things where I want to deep dive together with you, like tools and solutions that we are using to grow. But before that, I'm curious to hear from Yarko why you were interested to discuss this topic and why you think it's really important for founders.
Right. That's a really good point, Ivan. So basically, as part of me talking to a lot of projects at the time of my calls, right, I see that a lot of the people building Web3 projects are quite technical, right? So we've got really smart people building really sophisticated systems. So a lot of them have like a long history of coding and things like that. But at the same time, these people have not been starting real businesses, right? And so they a lot of times they have this idea that we will build this cool blockchain or we will build this cool system and people are just going to come because it's good. So this is like a big misconception that I stumbled upon, that people, well, founders really believe that once the project is out there, right, people are just going to come. So I guess that like I would like to quote a friend from a different investment company. He basically has a small checklist of things that he looks for in early stage projects. Right, it's just 3 things, and as part of that checklist, there is a point that asks, "Hey, how well is the team connected to the overall ecosystem?" Right? Are they going to conferences? Are they going to Zuzalu, chilling with all of the founders over there, as an example, right? And so if the answer is no, then it's putting the project in a bad light. See, like, I see that a lot of times people really think that, hey, like it would be possible just to build a project's code first, right? And then afterwards, just take care of the go-to-market strategy, BD, and visibility, and all of that. That all will come later, right? And so this is another common problem, right? That I see, that people genuinely believe that they don't have to care about the go-to-market strategy from day one. We'll just have to get the code right, and then everything will be fine. So taking a look at a lot of the prominent projects out there that have raised from tier one with VCs, these people, even though they don't have the code yet, nothing is done, right? They go to conferences, they basically organize a meetup. It's not that expensive to do it, right? You can just like talk to other projects out there, co-host a meetup, and that would raise awareness of your project. So basically, it's an iterative process, and you cannot just go from 0 to 1 with the go-to-market strategy, with the awareness and things like that. And so, yeah, I guess that all in all, right, the go-to-market strategy basically means is if you are good in promoting the project and getting a lot of people to use the project or to just know about the fundamentals of what's being built. So yeah, I hope that kind of covers a big part of it.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Yarko. I love your quote, and I finally remembered a similar quote by Warren Buffett that I do not invest in things that I do not understand. And the second quote, actually, also from Warren Buffett, that he mentioned that I do not work with people who are hardworking and intelligent, but I cannot trust them. So he was mentioning that he is looking only for 3 traits in people. It's hard work, intelligence, and reliability. Sorry, just was thinking about this great quote. I actually think that it's truly important to have this go-to-market strategy if you are raising the round, because investors will ask about it, and if you didn't thought well about it, how they will put in some money in you. So probably we can create our first quote, first insights that we will not invest in projects that do not have go-to-market strategy. So it's quite simple, but unfortunately not everyone understand. So guys, just to briefly sum up, spend some time on writing your go-to-market strategy. You will be improving it with your team, reviewing it maybe weekly, maybe monthly, because especially Web3 market is super fast, and the trends and tools and approaches are changing really fast. So you need to adopt and move forward. I'm also curious to hear from Nick some other arguments why go-to-market is important for founders.
Yeah, but basically, I would agree with Yarko on the first point. There are a lot of the technical founders, and probably the most popular questions that I'm asking and all of my friends from the VCs are asking on the calls is like, what is your go-to-market strategy? I understand the product, I understand what you're building, what problem are you solving, but what is the go-to-market? And it's like sometimes it's really hard to put all your strategy in one slide, and I understand that point. But I think in the go-to-market, one of the points that is like missing all the time by almost all founders is the word strategy here. Yeah, so when I'm seeing the slide, I can see the tools that they will be using. I can see the amount of people that they will get, but I don't see how they will use these tools and how they will get the people onboarded, and basically why the people need to go to this specific application. And that is the main problem probably for the biggest part of the startups. They're showing not the strategy, but some specific part of the go-to-market simply to like show you something, but they don't understand everything on their own side. Yeah. As for example, like right now there are a lot of like projects that are building not some hard infrastructure, but probably a bit more of the, I would say, consumer apps and stuff like that, but even some chains. Uh, when I'm asking what is your go-to-market strategy, they're saying I will launch the Telegram mini app and the users will come. And I'm like, why the users should come to your specific Telegram mini app? Why they can't come to the other? And what is the specific around your mini app? And they just think that this like Telegram trend with the mini apps and huge amount of users will gather them on the wave, and they will ride on this wave together with everyone else. But that's not the case, because you need this traffic to come from somewhere, and you need to work with these guys. And probably one of the main points right now is the retention. Yeah, the acquisition is understandable. Like any Telegram mini app can give you users. These users are not really like qualified to do some hard stuff, but you can get them. And after that, you need to retain them and work with them. And that's basically the point. So just to sum up on my point here is that there are a lot of points where the founders miss the word strategy in the go-to-market. So they just need to think a bit on the wider scale. And on the other side, as Yarco have said, everyone is thinking that users will come from somewhere. Like the Telegram mini apps is the case, like users will come. But in reality, you need to do something for these users to come. And this is the second biggest part in the startup development, not only the products, but also the working with the community. Yeah. So
Nick, I'm going to add a really interesting insight that I got recently, right? So a lot of the projects before their TGEs, that they really think that to compensate for the lack of marketing that they had, they could just do a KOL round and get all of the KOLs. So they really believe that, right, KOLs are going to bring this immediate visibility to the project. And so that kind of works. But I think the problem is that it's not going to work for like on the long term, right? These guys are going to talk about the project for, I don't know, like 2 weeks, and then the incentive isn't there. So you cannot just replace like your marketing strategy by saying, oh, the KOLs are going to do the job. No, like the KOLs are the short-term investors, and by the time they exit, they won't have any interest to promote the project whatsoever.
yeah, and basically to add here, as we were working with the KOLs a lot in the Solus, so the KOLs is not for making the bus; they're for making this bus bigger. So you need to create at least something, and then KOLs can push it. If there is nothing, they can talk anything about the project, but the news will die in a couple of weeks, as you have said. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. So if you don't provide a lot of like quality content on your side, you don't work with the users by yourself, the KOLs can do the magic. They can just support the magic to be bigger. Yeah, so that's the point on the marketing with the KOLs.
Yeah. And I see like relating to that, right? I think a couple of months ago there was a project. I will not name the project due to many reasons, but we've not invested into it. But I recall that they had a lot of good investors on the cap tables, and I think Sequoia invested in all of these big guys. And so I saw this KOL round being started by the project, and I think that you were attempting to raise $1 million or whatnot. And I thought, interesting. And so that round was done just in a couple of weeks, immediately. It was the top of the local bull market that they had in March and April. And I was like, interesting. So I kind of started doing my research on the whole project because I've not been taking a look at it before. And so I saw that, well, there was a cross-chain protocol and things like that, and they didn't have any traction, like none. So they had all these deployments on multiple chains and things like that, but no traction at all. And then after a couple of days, I saw all of these KOLs talking about the project as it was the next best thing after sliced bread, right? Oh, like this is the project, this is like the cross-chain revolution is coming, and it's going to be the tier 1 project that all of the retail people are going to use. And as I was kind of reading these comments from all of these different KOLs, so I'm part of a lot of Telegram groups, and so I'm subscribed to a bunch of guys on Twitter as well. And I thought to myself, like, gosh, like all of these retail guys are reading that, like genuinely thinking that, hey, this is going to be the cutting edge cross-chain protocol. And yeah, like after the ETGE, I believe the project price, it didn't go that high, like it just went down. So the point I'm trying to make, right, is that you should really have some traction, then you should really have a solid marketing strategy before talking to the KOLs and connecting to the point that you've made. You should have people in that bus, and so you need to get KOLs to make the bus bigger, because if you're thinking to just put KOLs in that bus, like a bad idea, just trust me.
Yeah, great point, guys. Truly enjoyed to hear your thoughts. Sorry, maybe a bit noisy here, but quite interesting to understand the difference between Web2 go-to-market strategies and Web3, because we have tokens, NFTs, we have some other new types of assets and solutions that help us to boost the at least first early adopters who will be joining your application and testing it. So I'm curious to hear, first of all, you, Yarco, how you see these two strategies are different, and
Yes.
maybe highlight few interesting components of Web3 go-to-market strategies.
Good point. That's a really amazing topic to discuss. So just to note, I'm not an expert on Web2 go-to-market strategies, so I won't be able to give you a thorough kind of overview of that. But I think the principal difference in Web3 is that right, we've got all these tokens that projects need to launch. And so you have a window when Bitcoin goes up, and then all of the projects are keen to do their ETGs, right? And so this is distinctly different from the Web2 projects. Right over there, they don't have a concept of ETG. So they have different things, right? Not other than doing TGs. And so projects really need to be aware also that right after they raise, the investors really expect to get the tokens much sooner than get some outcomes in Web2. So right, you need to have a lot of things done quickly, and so in parallel with the coding, you should be doing all of these other things to promote the project, right? So you have this tight schedule in Web3 that you kind of need to really pay attention to, because if you don't, the outcomes might not be the best. Frankly speaking, yeah. And Nick, any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, also to add here, not a Web2 guy as well, but still, I think as for now, there are a couple of like projects that are moving back from like Web2 to from Web3 to Web2 with the like decentralized loyalty and stuff like that. And the main point that I can check here is that for the Web2, you're providing the specific points for users to buy the product because they need a product basically, and they need to use it in their real lives. And for the Web3 is the classical shift is where you probably need the product, but on top of that you will get a reward. So you're not joining only because this I don't know, cross-chain protocol is really good, but because you will get a reward on top of that, and in the form of the tokens. So yeah, that's probably one of the main differences that we have. And the token is basically sometimes as a tool, used as a tool for the go-to-market, used as a tool to attract people. And if the marketing is done properly, you can basically launch the token, it will fall down, but you will have the users that will use your protocol simply because it's a good protocol. Yeah, that's a case, and sometimes it happens as well. But people need to understand that sometimes token is used for raising and the investor will benefit. Sometimes it will use to incentivize the community and the community will benefit. Sometimes it can be combined, and the project that can understand how to work with the tokens can understand in the future how to build a sustainable community, how to retain it and work with it together, because it's like the powerful instrument that you can use. And basically the only point I'm grateful for mem tokens right now is that it's like the go-to-market strategy without the product. So the people finally probably will understood how to build the engagement around the community, how to build all this marketing without anything on behind. And then when they will build something, yeah, they will understand how to build a go-to-market on top of that and basically work with the community on top of that. Yeah. So the main difference is that rewarding part probably, and how to work with the selling pressure after that. Because it's great to reward the community, but if you will reward them too much, they will dump and go to the next project. And that's basically the airdrop history. Yeah, so like the users come to the Starknet, got the drop, go away right after the day of the launch. So I think the go-to-market here is quite different and way harder, because you get a couple more powerful instruments to get the users at the beginning, but afterwards you need to work with these users and work way more harder than Web2 businesses to sustain the growth.
Yeah,
Like
truly,
really good
agree.
points, right? Like I see that right now we've got all these different platforms like Galaxy and Zili, where people go to do some different tasks. I think before in 2021, I saw a big growth in ambassador programs, right? So you had all these ambassadors doing different tasks, and then those people would get the tokens. But I was not a big believer in ambassador programs, to be honest, because in a way you had the audience. They would just want tokens and they would not really care about the product. They would do all the memes for the project. They would do the Telegram stickers like en masse, and then all of that would just go to waste, right? So it was, in my opinion, a bit of a waste of time, right? Like as Nick has alluded to it, he said that those people just moved on to different things, right? And so I think, right, to give tokens to people in the beginning is not the worst idea, to just get the community aware of your product, etc. But if you kind of give them too much and for too long, that's not going to be good for the project at all, right? If you take a look at like prominent L1s and things like that, like Avalanche, right? They've not done any of that. And still, if you take a look at these projects, FDVs, right? These projects are doing well. So there is something else that these projects are doing other than just giving free giveaways and tokens to like do a good job in the go-to-market strategy. So I see that we have a comment in the chat. So somebody's asking, so calls aren't going to help us get more growth, right? So I think that calls can indeed help you a lot in the beginning. But right, you have to be mindful that a lot of these calls are just going to dump the token allocation right in the beginning. These guys aren't investors. These guys aren't like long-term believers. So the tokens given to them is essentially a form of payment, right? And so they view that payment as such as cash, right? So like if you kind of go to KOLs and use KOLs sparingly, that can give a good effect. Like if you could kind of have a long-term connection to some of the stronger KOLs and give them like vested tokens. So these guys are going to be more invested into talking like on the long term about your project, right? So it's a really important point.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sorry, Nick.
Here. The main point for the KOLs is they help to more like to expand your growth, not to start it from the beginning, as we have said. So you should use it like as something to boost that something that you already built. You can't just use it on the. You can't boost the zero. Yeah, if you need to boost something, you can use the KOLs, but you shouldn't use them on the empty product, I would say. Yeah, so that's the point here.
Thank you, Nick and Yarco. Actually, I will briefly sum up it to our audience. So first of all, Web2 and Web3 go-to-market strategies are different. In Web3, you have additional assets. You have a lot of ups and downs cycles that actually can change your go-to-market, your approach, your token generation event absolutely to other direction. And right now, I think Yarco and Nick, you also have a lot of projects that rescheduled already like 2-3 times their token generation events, and it's normal, it's reality, and we need to use to it and adopt as fast as possible. And third, you need to be very mindful, as Yarko mentioned, regarding how you distribute your tokens from the beginning, because it can influence in a bad way as a result of your work. Your go-to-market strategy can be your biggest challenge because from the beginning you took the wrong approach. What I wanted to add here, that recently I finished a book, probably that you also read, called From Zero to One by Peter Thiel, that also has an interesting story about how PayPal was born and how it succeeded. So I will not tell the full story, but it is quite interesting that PayPal didn't have a lot of users in the beginning. It was quite an extraordinary solution, like a peer-to-peer payment system, very similar to Bitcoin thesis, by the way. But what I saw that it was hard for PayPal to grow exponentially, even though the guys who were working on it were like, I don't know, top minds in the world, top entrepreneurs. And investors were quite strong, but still they implemented one interesting approach that is very similar to what we see right now with airdrops. So what they did, they just had around 10,000 users, and they decided to distribute $10 to every new user and allow to earn from your friends by providing the link and receiving $10 per every user who registered by your link. And this approach helped them to grow up to 1 million plus users and to raise a very big round, investment round. I don't remember the valuation, don't want to lie, but yeah, it's a great book, and definitely, guys, you need to read it. So I think these airdrop campaigns, it's quite similar to what PayPal did, but with fiat in a different way. So the go-to-market strategies are quite similar, but you can leverage this additional asset token in the future and point system and NFTs for your purpose. But we need to do it wisely. We need to think maybe year, 2-3 years ahead in order not to have some challenges and problems as a result of this token distribution. Moving forward, I'm curious to hear some interesting cases. I will maybe start with my first case. Today, I was speaking with one of the founders who is a brilliant CTO who built several successful companies, and he was raising his first round right now with a new product. He received a grant from the leading foundation, and we were speaking about his product, his presentation. Then we went deep into the business model, and I understood there is no clear understanding what is a business model, what is the customer acquisition cost, and what is the go-to-market strategy. So I explained this to him, and I wanted to challenge him to prepare something for the next meeting. So I think there is a big problem with this regards, as Yarco mentioned as well, where we have strong founders with technical background, but lack of marketing experience and understanding how to scale the product. So I would like to ask a question that probably can help them, how they should start. So let's imagine we are the technical founders with zero marketing experience. Do we need to find a partner who has this experience, or what will be your suggestions to technical founders? Nick, would you like to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my opinion, there are like three classical ways. Like the first one you have already said, get the marketing co-founder that will assist you on that side. The second way is get someone on outsource. Yeah, like the marketing agency for consulting or something like that. But these two can be like not the case for some people. So the third one is basically to go, as we have said at the beginning, step by step, starting from like the classical points. There are a lot of go-to-market templates all over the net, so you can just find something and fulfill it for yourself. And when you will first Google it, it probably will be like scary to you because it's like the huge template sometimes. So for example, we had a template that can't be in I have 3 monitors here, and our template can be on the 3 monitors, and sometimes will be off the monitor still. So you need to check for a lot of points, starting probably with the customer development and checking in who is your target audience and a couple of ideal customers profiles. So ideal customer profile is something like you should put yourself on the position of someone who will use your product and understand how will they use it, what they are looking for. And that's why you need the customer development to check what are the actual pains. There are a lot of like technical founders who are building something because they have a pain and it can work, but it doesn't mean that everyone has this pain. Probably you have it, you solve it for yourself, and go work with it together in the future. Yeah, but if a lot of people have this problem, you need to go through the customer development phase. After that, when you got your ideal customer profiles, you need to understand how to work with them properly and how to onboard them. So you need to build a framework for the customer acquisition, yeah, and calculate your costs. And this is the point basically where the point that Ivan have mentioned got into the play. So you will have customer acquisition costs. Probably in the Web3 space, they can be a bit different. That they can be a bit in the future. Like you will not pay for the customer at the moment, and we'll agree. Oh, okay, I have 1 million customers, but then you need to make an airdrop for 1 million customers, and that's pretty much harder than you think in the future. So that's the specifics, and this is why like the business models and their development is crucial, because as for now I can see a lot of projects. One of the projects just came to us today and have said, oh, okay guys, so we are almost out of our cash, we need to like build it further, so we would need to open one more round. What would you suggest? Like equity, selling tokens on the OTC, maybe notes or something like that. I have checked their traction. They have 160K users. And my first question was, why can't you monetize this amount of users to build a sustainable profit through your business model? Why do you need to raise like 2 million more to build the product upwards if you already have something to monetize? Yeah, and that is probably the main point. So to start with the cost dev and understand the point, then work with the ideal customers profile, and after that move to the customer acquisition and basically the business model that will cover the costs of the customer acquisition.
Yeah.
For now, or maybe in future, it depends on your model, but same for the business model. It can generate revenue now, it can generate revenue in the future, but still you will need revenue. Yeah, you have a lot of like instruments to engage with audience, to work with audience, and to onboard it. But in the long run, you need a sustainable business model to work on the retention as well. So yeah, that's probably the starting points, and Yarco can add something on top of that and the next steps as well. So, yeah.
Yes, of course. Really great points, Nick. So basically, right, if I'm a technical co-founder, I would really be keen to have another co-founder that's also technical but can do a bit of the hand waving, right? Really important to have a guy like that on the team, right? So going back to my experiences at Covalent, right? Covalent is a really great example of how it worked out. So Ganesh, the CEO over there, is this technical guy that likes going on panels, that likes talking to different people, going to conferences, promoting his product, and like talking about it. So he's got his CTO, Levi, over there, is one of the genius developers. I mean, a really smart guy. That person is not doing any of that at all. Zero. He is just coding, right? So he's got all the technical tasks that he needs to do, and he is just taking care of the code while we're like leading all of the coding efforts. And I really love that, right? So they have a really ideal division of responsibilities, right? Because at times when you have a couple of technical people in the team, and all of them are attempting to kind of to go to market, go to conferences, do like two things at once. A lot of times it's not going to work. So you really need to kind of designate one or two people in the team who would be doing all of that, or else you would just dilute your attention, and it's not going to work. So I guess in the beginning of the project's development, right? If you do not have a person like that, if all of the members in the team are too technical, let's imagine that case, have this wonderful idea and like really technical. So at that point, I would advise to probably start looking to hire somebody, even if that's somebody who doesn't have experience in the go-to-market strategies, but just attempt to get a person on the team who would be responsible for growth, for BD, for go-to-market, for that kind of a niche. So if that person has experience, great. Like they will be able to get you started in no time. If that person doesn't have experience but a lot of drive and to learn, that's a good way to do it. So you get that person, and then in parallel, you get a good agency. So like talk to your friends, talk to your network, and get them to connect you to a good agency that would be able to help that person in your team to do a good job in BD growth and go to market. Agencies have a lot of really good tips, but in my personal opinion, you cannot rely on them like on the long term. So you really need to have somebody in-house who will be able to take care of all of these concerns, right? Because if you have for people in-house, a lot of times those people get tokens and or equity as like from the team tokens chunk. And so they have direct long-term incentives to be doing a good job, right? A lot of times if I connect to agencies, and by the way, we've got like a lot of them, like all kinds of different companies. So if I give them cash, I don't know, like, is it going to be a long-term thing? Are they going to be incentivized to really do a good job? I don't know, but like a lot of them are, right? So like in the beginning, all of the whole like go to market strategy and visibility isn't that challenging, right? There is like a small playbook that everybody can follow. Basically, go to conferences, go to panels, like do talks, and do presentations about your project and things like that, just to get people aware that, hey, this person is building something. So I see that a lot of times, right, if you do have a non-technical co-founder as a CEO, he or she goes to Twitter and they spend a lot of time just talking about like different things, like talking about Ethereum, talking about Solana, like talking about having an opinion about certain topics and just getting a lot of attention through that. And then in parallel, once they build up enough audience, they would be able to indirectly promote their own project, right? So going back to another point, I think that one of the really good things that Tier 1 projects that, well, raised from Tier 1 funds are doing is that their co-founders are going to podcast. I think that on the early stage, not a lot of podcasts are going to be keen to have you on board, but right before the TG and things like that, you have to go to podcasts, right? Like if you take a look again at the founders of all these prominent projects, if you just Google the names of the founders, or you need to go on, I don't know, YouTube over there. So they regularly go to these events, right? So the founder of Eigenlayer, right? You Google his name on YouTube, like it's page after page after page of him talking to various people about his project and the general trends in crypto. So you must be really willing to go outside of your shell, right? And start talking about your project, because I've seen it many times where people are just building in their own bubble and aren't going outside of that bubble. Really important not to do that, because it's not going to lead to good outcomes.
Truly agree, Yarko. I will just briefly summarize what Nick and Yarko explained to people who just joined. That first of all, start with CusDev, customer development. So you need to better identify your perfect customer. So someone who really has this problem, who wants to have a similar solution that you are offering. Second, what I will just briefly add, that do not forget to innovate with your go-to-market strategies. Even basic A/B testing can work and help you to improve, because you need to follow the conversion from as many entry points when you interact with customers as possible, and track it, improve it, try it. So it's everything about, iterating and moving forward, collecting the results, and it will bring you a lot of interesting insights. But on the long term, I really like the point that Yarko mentioned regarding podcasts, because Twitter Spaces, for instance, they will disappear and no one probably will listen to them in 1 week. But podcasts, they will stay there for years. And I was just thinking that Yarko is right. So someone will be searching in Google some information about you, and will see that 3 years ago you were already speaking about your idea, you were building, you were traveling, you were growing. So you did your homework as a founder to build your name, to tell a story to your future customers, to your future investors. So it's really important, and we should definitely encourage and help founders to find more podcast opportunities. It doesn't matter if it's a big audience or it's a small, it still will have this impact because people will be able to find you and hear your interview, which is great. So I think we are almost in the end. I have the last question that is quite interesting, and I came up with it during the discussion. So how, for instance, Unique would like to see the go-to-market strategy slide from founders, and maybe what information do you need in the data room? So you mentioned the comprehensive document that you built with your team, or maybe some small, like basic documents, but with some specific points will be enough for you.
Yeah, definitely a great question, to be honest, because I was talking recently with a couple of startups about like how they need to create a go-to-market slide and the go-to-market documents in general. And when I was supporting like a startup a year ago, probably we have done like a couple of presentations that you can like just mention in the deck. And if people would like to see how you did the CAS dev, they can just press the link and check on the CAS dev with all the feedbacks and with all the recaps of you speaking with the right people to understand if this startup is needed basically and the problem is solved or not. On top of that, talking about the specific slide, I would say that there are a couple of points there to mention. First of all, I like the distributions on different stages. So sometimes it is great to combine the roadmap together with the go-to-market because they can go along the way. On top of that, you will still have the product roadmap as the other slide, for example, but the go-to-market can be in a pretty similar style. So, for example, you have for the seed round, you will onboard this amount of users, use these tools for that, and this is how you will work with these tools to onboard this amount of users for your seed round. And this is basically the simplest probably framework that will align all the points together, and you will build something that you can call a strategy, not just the tools for go-to-market or I don't know amount of users that you planning to get from the sky when you launch your Telegram mini app and stuff. Yeah, that's the first point. The second point is probably sometimes it is great to have a separate document for the social media strategy and how do you want to plan to work with it, because sometimes you can see the X accounts where you have like 100k audience, and like this is fine, but this can be an audience that was just gathered from bots or gathered from not the best traffic. And sometimes founders just come and said, oh, okay, I have this natural grown 10,000 people on Twitter, but how should I know it if I can check it anywhere? If he won't say it to me, I won't know it. Yeah, so basically it's great to have this idea of the social media marketing strategy as well, so I understand that people understand how they're doing it, because 100k is okay because probably 5k or 10k of them are normal users that will use and that will do something, but 10k is pretty much the same where the conversion rate is quite higher. So you will get 8k from 100k or you will get 8k from 10k. It doesn't matter for me. The quality of user does. Yeah, so this is probably a couple of points that is valuable to mention. Don't need to be a full framework because sometimes the startups, for example, for the business model, they use the Osterwalder template. Yeah, and like it is really hard to read, to be honest, especially in the deck. You can waste like 2 minutes simply for this slide to understand the business model. I don't need to have this when I have like a 10 pitches for 1 hour to review. Yeah, but on the other side, if you have done it, just put it in the separate document in the data room. And if someone needs, he will check it in more details. And that's probably with everything that you are doing. You don't need to put it fully in the pitch deck. Pitch deck is just a great instrument to summarize everything, but just do it properly. Everything else like cost dev, full scale go-to-marketing, social media strategy, full-scale business model, you can put it in the separate documents and make the data room for it. So this is probably how I envision all this stuff in the simple but still like the proper way. Can be done better, but at least something here.
Great points, really amazing points. Just to connect to some items that you have mentioned, right? So a lot of times the founders really believe that they have traction when they have like all of the people on a testnet. You talk like a lot of times projects raise a pre-TGE round and then they go to investors and say, oh my gosh, we've got millions of users on a testnet and all of them are minting tokens and all of them are doing this and that. Like if you take a look at prominent bridging projects that have just TGE'd, right, you will see that the amount of people swapping from like different chains once the token has launched and they've given you the tokens, that just goes down or like it wasn't like that was these were the numbers on a mainnet, not on a testnet. So it's an illusion, right? That you have all these kind of people that would be doing things on your real main net once all of the rewards have been given, etc. So right, and another recommendation to projects to not fake their numbers on Twitter and such. Like I've been talking to a couple of projects that said, "Oh, we've got 120K people on our Twitter." Then you go check, and you don't have anybody that overlaps with you, and you know that, well, this is impossible. Like a lot of times, if I go and check a project on Twitter, right, I see 1 or 2 or 20 people or 30 people or 90 or like 200. If I see one and then they have like 120K followers, I know that they just cheated. And if they cheat, right, I know that, hey, maybe that's not going to work as an investment for us because, well, at the start, I see that there is a credibility issue. And so I think that all in all, I would just say that if I read a deck or if I'm jumping on a call, and if I see founders proactively starting to talk about the go-to-market growth strategy, that's already really good. I mean, irrelevant of the details, right? Not important, because a lot of times, like the ETG is going to happen in, I don't know, like 2 years, a year. Like at times you have to wait for a long time. So that strategy is going to shift and change according to market conditions, according to the latest trends and things like that. But if you see the team proactively telling you that they would be working really actively on getting the project promoted, understanding who the users are going to be, and me not telling them about, well, you need to do that, that's already like a big plus in my book. So like a really easy point for me, but like a lot of times it just works as a good heuristic, you know.
Yeah, and just to quickly agree on that side, that was the point from which we were starting. The most popular questions from the VCs is, what is your go-to-market? And if they are not asking and they get your go-to-market from the very beginning, that's definitely a great plus.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
totally agree on that side. Yeah.
Thank you, Yarco and Nick. Just to quickly summarize the final points. First of all, there is no need to put complicated slides on go-to-market strategy. You can do something super simple and provide some links where your investors, your partners will be able to find the needed documents and will deep dive there. Second, I really like the point that Yarco mentioned, that do not try to fake or lie to your potential investor. It's probably the worst thing that you can do. With a lot of bots on your Twitter profile, we use at least 5 platforms and paid platforms to check your fake followers, your regions of your followers, a lot of metrics like S&P score. So everyone uses this in VC space. So probably you will not lie to us, you will lie to yourself. So do not try to fake it. The success with your marketing, it's amount of leads that you generate, it's the conversion rate that you have in sales, it's the revenue that you generated, not amount of bots on your Twitter profile for sure. So I think we can wrap up with this funny note. Thank you, Yarco and Nick, for joining. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, to learn from you. Great to have you with us, and just maybe the final notes for our audience. Nick, would you like to start?
So on the final notes, I would like to get the couple of cases, like the recent ones. Probably you have seen a lot of articles about the Monad and how they're working on their go-to-market and how they're working with their community. Definitely worth to at least check it out. Yeah, because the Monad is that kind of project where you have to onboard the developers, but they have started from the community gathering, and therefore the developers will come after that. So that's the great point on the side of the strategy. And the second one that was mentioned, like on communication and on sales waving hands in Twitter, there were a lot of like some kind of a fights between big projects in the space Probably my favorite is the story protocol versus Bearer chain recently. Yeah. Sometimes probably the Bearer chain is the only project that I see all the time on the Twitter. The founder have come and just said something versus someone else. That's some kind of their marketing strategy, and that's some kind of what they're doing in the space. And they really like that it's like deep and technical sometimes. So the guys from Story Protocol raised a lot of from Andreessen Horowitz, tried to revolutionize the space. The Bearer chain from the other side are also the good technical guys that bring something new on the blockchain. And just to check their arguments is like, it can be really helpful. And if you can be the founder that can come to the Twitter and start a great technical argument, or at least write a great technical thread, it will be like really attracting, especially if your product is not just a meme coin, but something technical and you're a technical founder who likes to write. So 2 points, check on the Monad reviews. There are a lot of the articles on this in the space. And second one, check for the big projects and how they're like pushing their community on Twitter and engaging with it in a different ways. Like Solana can be aggressive, Vitalik can just be posting bulls. Yeah, some other guys can just win in arguments in some way, but all of this is the part of the go-to-market that they're using to like work with their products.
Good points, Max. So I think I'm just going to repeat what you've stated and from a different angle, because I really believe that those points are quite valuable, right? So if you are a technical team, right, going back to our discussion, if you do not have anybody that can do your go-to-market effectively, you just onboarded a passionate guy that's really got a lot of energy. He doesn't have anything, like no knowledge about what needs to be done. Step one is just go identify your possible competitors in the space and take a look at what these people are doing. Go to their Discord, go to their Telegram, go to their Twitter, check the content, check what the announcement channels are getting as content, check what the retail guys in those channels are saying. That's not going to take a lot of the time. Like it's going to take you, I don't know, like 3 days max, at most a week, right? If you like to have coffee a lot. So not going to take a long time, but you will have an idea about what all of these competitors for the time being are doing. That is going to be immensely helpful. And I mean, it's not a, it's a no-brainer thing to do, but despite it being a no-brainer thing to do, few projects are doing that. I remember telling our portfolio projects, hey, like these other guys are doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, really? We had no idea. And so, yeah.
Yeah, great points. Truly love them, and thank you for introducing 2 cases for our audience, like Monad, Chain, and Story Protocol. And actually, I fully agree with Yarco regarding reviewing the strategies of other projects is something that you can do quite easily. You can extract a lot of knowledge from there and see what worked, what not. But also when you are trying to do some testing to launch new campaigns, new language, you should also measure your metrics. And I suggest to do it at least weekly with your marketing team. So in our portfolio companies, founders are reviewing the strategies and weekly and receiving a lot of insights on what worked well and what not. But I love this approach that you guys mentioned to really like extract the best from your competitors and maybe add some creativity, add some innovation to your strategy, and you will succeed for sure. Thank you, Yarco, one more time, and Nick for joining us. It was true pleasure to speak with you, and looking forward to our next sessions and amazing opportunities to invest.